Okay, this is going to be a weekly recap from the 3rd of October to the 7th of October. And I really don't look forward to going over this, but it's not going to take too long. It was just a lot of pain right here trading TGGI. Many times trying to be a part of a reversal setup that just didn't work out. And this is going to be a red week, just $3.48. I did have a very crappy average percent loss, and that was because of the fact that TGGI was a very low price sub penny stock. So as you can see, it was trading in the 20s, so 29 to 28. For example, that's already like 3.5%. So it's very easy to have a very nice big percent gain and a percent loss. And again, this one did not really bounce. I lost just $3, and that was with $900 of volume traded. But I think the best part was is that if I were to delete these TGGI trades, if I were to have not have traded them, that would have actually brought this to a very nice green week, $15 with just $700 of dollar volume traded. And the lessons I learned with TGGI is something that I will take in the future and not make anymore. So that's the go with that one, and that's going to be pretty ideal. Let's go ahead and go over the setups one by one. I did have 11 trades. Only 4 of them worked out because, again, those TGGI trades didn't work out. This one isn't nice. My, average trade, at least 33% of all of them were not according to my dollar risk level, which is $40. So that is something that I have to work on, and I'm actually considering sizing up. And I think I might do like a big one. I might go from $40 to $50 or even jump to $100 because it just seems like, at least with my records, since I've been trying to trade large, you can see I started trading a $40 risk level back in August, and I've been doing pretty well since. I think I might try to double my average position size. So yeah, let's go over the trades one by one, starting with GTII. Let's look at GTII on the 3rd. Third is going to be right here. Second big green day. It's been uptrending, but this was like the second big green day. Third is going to be right here. I was in at 9:55 a.m. at 5:68, and this was a reversal long morning spike. So let's look at 9:55, 5:68. I guess I'll zoom in a bit more. 9:55 was right here, and I was in at 568. So why did I get in this? Well, super nice, super crazy morning spike. It went from the fives as high as $9, and I did hesitate. I could have, um, in theory, been long here, but after I tried to place an order later on, there was such a delay, so I don't think I would have been filled here. But once it started the downtrend, and it broke a downtrending trend line, if I were to draw one just very quickly, in theory, what it was doing right here, maybe something like this. It breaks past it, and then it continues the downtrend, and then it tries to get back to the trend line, which in this case is a very, very aggressive trend line right here. And it looks like it's trying to do a bounce, and I'm in at 568. I did get out at 9:59 at 6:36, so 9:59 was right here at 6:36. So my average was 6:36, but I had my last sell at 9:59, and yeah, this one worked out. It did get to VWAP eventually, and it got a little bit above it after a little dip right here, but this could have been something where I can try to hold setups for a longer period of time. I like how I had a dip and it was still higher than here, and then I could have maybe sold another piece here, and then it did break this level and become a lower low from this level at that point, and then it got a bit higher later. That was a pretty good trade for what it was. Super profitable, 12% gain. Didn't have the right amount of shares. I probably needed, what, 20 shares? I guess not that much, maybe 15. That would have allowed me to have been a lot more profitable, but it was still a good attempt for what it was, and a very nice clean setup. Let's look at GTII on the 4th. So this is going to be the next day. Let me move this trend line while I'm at it, if it lets me. 4th is the next day, right here. Big red day. Clearly a lot of nice setups were missed out, by the way. I started to get a lot more aggressive towards the end of the week, but that is something that I need to continue to work on. I was in at 950 at $5 exactly, and this was a panic dip buy, round number reversal. So let's look at 950. I'll zoom in a bit more. I was in at 950 right here. Why did I buy at $5? Well, I like how it had a drop from the 7s. It got really exponential to the 4s. Tried to kind of hold itself an uptrend and maybe gain, significantly above VWAP, but it wasn't able to. It sold off even more. Didn't really break much lower than this wick right here. Then it was trying to hold itself, and it was looking like the big volume that, in this case, was making it go down because it was panic selling, was now going away. So when I took a buy at $5, there was that opportunity for it to break past that resistance level that it just broke under. And yeah, it made a move towards the upside. I got out 954 at 531. Wow, it seems like I'm not actually trading as bad as I felt. Right here, 531 right here is when I got out. Yeah, it didn't get above VWAP, unfortunately, but it still made a move towards the upside. That was not a bad trade at all. That was a decent percent gain. I remember for like a while, I would get like these crappy 1.5% gains, and they were all scratches. I'm actually seeing nice percent gains. I guess this was really ugly and really bad, so I'm glad I'm doing this recap. I'm feeling better already. Let's look at GTII on the same day. This was a different setup. This one did not work out. 1019, 523, and this was an inverse head and shoulders, second higher low. So let's look at 1019. 1019 is going to be right here at this 519 level. What was it? 523. 1019, 523. So I was in it right here. And why did I get in it? Shoulder, head, shoulder, inverse head and shoulders. And this, in theory, did work out. I went from the 515s to the 560s. And I get above VWAP here either, like my first attempt, which you could also call the head of an inverse head and shoulder setup. Instead of something just playing around the $5 level being, a panic dip by reversal setup. But I was in it at 1019 because I thought this was going to be like the next higher low from here, and then maybe it could eventually break past VWAP and continue the uptrend. I did get out the same minutes at 515, so yeah, 1019 again, I was out at 515. And why did I get out? I probably thought it was just going to hold the level right where I bought, and I got in when I thought it was going to be the very bottom. It clearly downtrended some more. I got out, but I mean, I guess it did kind of blip, but it didn't get above VWAP again. This setup clearly did not work out, but yeah, I think that was a good attempt for what it was. Not all setups are going to work out, and I did have the right size, at least with this trade right here. Let's look at the next day of GTII. This is going to be the 5th right here. Let's zoom out and take a look at the 5th. I'll probably just zoom in the first part of the chart right here. And I was in at 946, 419, morning panic bounce play. 946 was right here, and I got in at 419. Again, it just had a panic in the morning downtrend. So again, you can draw another trend line. I guess maybe in theory from here to here, perhaps. It breaks it eventually, and I got in again at 946, which was the next candle after it broke this downtrending trend line. So in theory, if a stock breaks a downtrending trend line, it might try to uptrend, or it might try to hold the level and then it'll downtrend some more and try to get under the line. It can do a whole bunch of things, but it does in most cases mean a change in momentum when a trend line breaks, whether it's a downtrending one or an uptrending one. And yeah, this one clearly worked out. I went to the $6 level. I'm sure I sold all the way up there. Just kidding. Let's see. I was out at 951 at 432. So 951 was right here, and my average was 432. So I ended up selling right here. I don't regret the sell at all because even though I got to the $6 price range, my goal is always VWAP. And this one was a little weird. It had like another dip right here. If you could draw like an uptrending trend line from the reversal after it broke this downtrending one, it did have this brief candle that broke the line, but then it just immediately came back. There was a point where I could have went long here. This is a new setup that I might try to do more often when the stock has a morning panic bounce play and it works and it breaks above VWAP. Sometimes it will downtrend, hold VWAP, maybe in this case above it slightly, or sometimes it holds it perfectly, sometimes a little below it, and then it reverses and continues to make a nicer move, especially if volume goes away, because that could mean that the big sellers are out of the picture and it can really make a nice move towards the upside, which is exactly what this one did here. Missed out on this setup, absolutely, and that is something I need to keep working on, but this was a very nice one, and again, I'm happy with the way I traded it. VWAP is the goal. You know, hindsight is 2020. It's gonna get to the sixes. I should hold. That's not how trading works. This was a good try for what it was, but I definitely had that opportunity to go long here, and I was considering. I did hesitate, and I'm glad it worked out because that gives me more reason to consider it in the future. Let's look at GTII. It looks like on the same day, this is now a reversal long VWAP hold. Okay, this was a bit later, not the one I was talking about. And this one I only traded 10 shares, so I was just trading a small, tiny, tiny dollar position compared to what I actually do trade, which isn't that much bigger, but it is 3 times smaller. I was in at 1248, 531, so 1248 was a bit later. Let me just zoom out. There we go, 1248. Okay, so way later actually. Let me just do it from here since it seems like it was much later. 1248 was right here, and I got in at this point just to be completely sure. Yeah, 531, 1248. So why did I get in it? Well, I thought, okay, super nice uptrend, selling off and everything. It's getting the VWAP, and now the idea is that it's going to hold the VWAP level. I guess kind of similar to here, but a little bigger picture, something that will take longer. I thought it would, be a change in momentum. You can also say it broke a, downtrending trend line as well, right? And yeah, it didn't bounce. It just consolidated. It didn't, try to go towards the upside, which would have been ideal for me. I got out much later. I got out at 117, 517. So I got out right here at this red candle right here at 517. And I guess I was just risking VWAP. So when it actually broke it right here is when I got out. And it did continue to sell off, but that was a good attempt for what it was. And yeah, it wasn't like a full-size position. Definitely something I want to take in the future, this setup. But with more data, I can see if this works out more often than not. It was enough for me to try a small position size, but maybe it just, is not as likely to work once it's much later in the day. Let's look at the next one with GTII. This is now on the 6th. So let's get to the 6th, which is going to be right here. And let's zoom in from here. This is going to be the 6th day of GTII's crazy price action madness. I was in at 932, 527 and a half. And this was a morning spike resistance breakout. So 932 was way in the morning right here, and I was in at 528 basically. What did I get in this? Well, from yesterday, at least from this day, the price action was showing super big resistance at 530, and then we had like a sell off and it was uptrending, and then the price action was looking nice, the volume was there, and I'm in it right here. And unfortunately the price action, the momentum and everything dried up and it downtrended, and it did do it later. It did do it later, but not, when I traded, when I thought it was just going to immediately start doing it right then and there at the market open. I got out the next minute at 519. So right here, yeah, I just saw that it wasn't just immediately continuously uptrending, and I got out at 519. It did get lower, but this thing in theory worked out. It just held VWAP. I also hesitated this one, I believe. No, I think I tried to buy at 520. No, I didn't. I did try to buy it right here at 550. I wasn't able to get failed, but yeah, this thing did break that 530 resistance level, hold, not very convincingly, but it did hold, and it went even higher. So again, another nice setup. At least I did try the very beginning part, but I probably could have tried again when it held VWAP, or at least maybe like right here when it's breaking the 520 level, which was like a baby resistance level from this wick, and it being a round number under 530. That could have been a setup I could have taken, and that one did work out. Oh, buddy, now let's go over the pain TGGI on the 6th. I'm glad I'm doing this weekly recap because I feel a lot better. Just saying that the rest of my trades were pretty good compared to this pain I went through with TGGI. But as you can see here, TGGI had like a 77% drop, very massive, and there was a big drop that TGGI did before in January, and it actually bounced back significantly, offering a very huge, like money making moment. And I did eventually, trade a bit slower, in that I traded less volume, just 10,000 shares, which isn't, according to, in theory, uh, a $40 risk level. But that was because of the thing in mind that, if this thing is going to work out, even if I have just a small position, 45 bucks or 29 bucks, if it's going to work out, it's going to double at least. So that was an idea as to why I didn't trade that much with this one, which was in my favor. Let's look at the first setup, and these are slightly different if you take a look at it closely. I was in at 221.30, tsunami panic, reversal long, in trend line. So 221.30. 221 was right here, and I was in at 30Y. Well, I thought it was going to break out of a downtrending trend line, and I think my lesson is that with sketchy sub-penny stocks, don't try to buy a reversal setup unless it actually breaks the trend line, which in this case it didn't. Let me just make sure on the time, 221. I guess it looks like it did get out of it here, but at the time it wasn't, at least to the way I had it on E-Trade. But I got in it right here, and I thought it was going to break out of the trend line, and it looks like it is doing it here, but the way I had it on E-Trade Pro, the day that I actually traded it, it makes a lot more sense. It was still under it. I got out 2 minutes later at 26, which was pretty painful, but I did get out because it looks like it was going to not break above the trend line and continue the downtrend. I really don't like how this line is not supporting what I saw. Maybe I had it something like this. Maybe something like this. Yeah, maybe something like that would have been what I traded. Let me just see if maybe in theory I have it. I might have this right here actually. Alright, so this is when I actually traded this. And as you can see my trend lines, I got out because it looked like it was still going to follow it when I thought it was going to get out of it. I believe it was this candle when I got in the setup right here, and then it was the thing where I sold at 26 in this little wick, and then it broke out of it, of course, the next candle, but that's totally fine. But yeah, never try to buy a tsunami panic. Some OTC stock is down a lot. if it's still under a downtrending trend line, even if it looks like it's going to get out of it. In fact, that was my lesson for the week. Try tsunami panic stocks setups once, just once, risking the day low, and that's it, and wait for a trend line break. So that's, the second part from that lesson. Could have avoided this trade, and this one didn't work out. And then the next trade I had was very immediate. I was in at 224 at the same point 30, but now the tsunami panic reversal long trend line break. So I'm in at 224.30. So I'm in it right here at 30. Why? Because it broke the downtrending trend line. And now I could, in theory, make a move towards the VWAP and be super profitable. I never saw this when this happened. Otherwise, I would have tried it. And who knows, I could have made a lot. I mean, a move from the 30 sub penny level to the 39s. I guess that's not that much, but it could have done so much more if it got above VWAP. Again, I'm in it right here trying to be a part of a reversal. I got out 226 at 27. 226, unfortunate big red candle, too bad. I got out at 27, changed in price momentum and everything. And yeah, I got out of it just because of the fact that, the price action looked super bad. And yeah, that was pretty much me being in and out, in and out, in and out, which is not good. In the future, if I trade a morning panic, bounce play, or tsunami panic, which was in this case later in the afternoon, I'm going to try once, whether I'm in at the 30 sub penny level or 26. I'm going to be in it. I'm going to risk the day low, which in this case was 23, something that it eventually broke under, and that'll be it. I won't have to have 5 freaking trades and they all fail. I'll just have one, and I won't lose as much money, and I'm not as emotional getting in and out because of scary price action or big ugly red candles or trend lines or whatever. Just in theory, big panic, you're in it. It's going to break the day low, or it's going to break the resistance level, whatever it is, and in theory get to VWAP or above it if it's super nice. Worked out here, tried to get a second bounce, didn't really do it. The next trade is going to be this one. I was in at 240 at 29. Tsunami panic reversal long inverse head and shoulder. So 240 was right here. Now I'm in the setup because in theory it looks like to me an inverse head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, and then 240 is right here, so I'm trading the right shoulder. Not a perfect inverse head and shoulders because obviously this thing is lower than the head. And again, it looks like maybe it can make a move towards VWAP and be profitable. Didn't work out. I got out 243 at 25. 243 was right here at 25. Didn't work out. Broke the range right here, which was 26. The head of the inverse head and shoulders. Not a bad sell for what it was. Again, I shouldn't have traded it so many times, but this last trade is when I did it perfectly. Tsunami, panic, reversal long, proper day low risk. I was in at 308.26. So 308 was right here. I got in at 26. And I thought it's going to do two things. Break the day low, or in theory, break the resistance level, or get to VWAP and be super profitable. Did not work out, as you can see. Sold off some more. I got out at 322 at 22. Right here. This red candle right here. Very good trade. Didn't work out, but this could have been my only trade in theory, and I would have lost just $4, or maybe more because I would have been in perhaps at a higher price at like 30. Would have lost $8. Wouldn't have had all of this bleeding price action right here. Big ugly percent losses, and then a slightly red week because of that. So that's the situation. Let's go over the last trade, which ended a week on the good notes. Let's look at GTII on the 7th. 7th is going to be the last day, of course, right here. I'll probably zoom in a bit more. I was in at 1008, and let's just say 501. Reversal long, trend line break, higher low. So 1008, 501. right here when I got in at 501. Why did I get in it? Very simple. Let's go and draw the trend line first. This looks like it. All right, so it's a reversal long, so it's, you know, downtrending in this case, and then it's going to reverse and uptrend. That's the thing that I'm looking at. Trend line break. It broke the trend line, the downtrending trend line, when it sold off from the 530s to under $5 in the fours. Little baby bounce, and then it downtrends one more time. Higher low from here. I'm in at 501. Perfect setup. Something I would like to, in theory, trade 3,000 shares in the future, or maybe more, be mega profitable. Anyway, I got out 1016 at 520 was my average, 1016. I got out right here, and my average was 520. And you might say, oh, well, that's kind of lame, you know? You sold your last piece at 1016, and I remember it being at 562, but your average was just 520, and I'll say yes, that was it. And why? Because my goal was VWAP, and this was best case scenario. It worked. It got to VWAP. It got above VWAP. It even broke the day high and continued to go even higher. This was best case scenario, and I'm super happy that it happened. And I even had a piece sold way at the top, even though it wasn't like, you know, half or almost all my position. Really happy with the way this setup worked, and I hope I can see more stuff like that in the future. I had a chance to try it again here, but I didn't think it was as good as this initial one. It did uptrend. In theory, I could have been in at 515, and it got as high as 539, so not as much range as here, but super nice. Don't trade ugly TGGI looking stocks with disgusting price action and no bounces, or at least if I'm going to, because it can be super profitable. Just try once. That's it for this weekly recap. I feel better going over this. Feel like I wasn't trading as crappy as I felt. Still a lot of things I could do better. A lot of setups I did miss out on that I could take in the future or tomorrow, God willing. Lots of experience learned from that. Great lessons learned. And I think I shouldn't be able to screw up like I did with TGGI, trying to, you know, a bunch of times to nail a potential bounce on the stock that never actually did bounce. That's it for this weekly recap. I hope any of you who are watching this can learn from this as well, if not just me, because I know these videos are kind of long. Great for me. I'm sure it helps other people, but most people don't want to, I guess, look into this and try to get better at day trading. Seeing points from other people, good or bad, whatever. That's it for this video. Pretty happy now going over it. That's all I got.